I am RMT, your host, and I want to welcome everyone to the premiere of Dead Air Podcast, coming from the headquarters of the Tell It to the Dead fan forum. We are going to spend the next 45 minutes discussing all things Walking Dead, and I'm joined today by an esteemed group of panelists from tellittothedead.com, where I'm also a moderator. So let's take a moment to introduce our panel. And first up, we have Candy, also known, aka as Ricky, the mastermind behind this podcast. And Candy, words.
I just wanted to keep it family friendly, so I prefer people call me Candy and not Deep Ricky.
All right. Next up, we have Kat.
I know, but like.
Oh, that would be me, the last big cat. I'm in my room, eating some soup. Gonna talk about things. What's up?
Welcome, Kat. We also have Mama Grimes on, also the moderator from Tell It to the Dead. Hello, Mama.
Hi, everybody. I'm excited to be here talking about our favorite TV show. Yay.
And we also have Luna joining us, a member of our favorite forum. All right, we're going down the list. We also have Swan. Hello, Swan.
Hello, that's me. I'm currently at work.
Oh, this is interesting for you. And do we have?
I work at a call center, so it's pretty easy for me to do this right now.
What if someone calls you? Can we hear your work call on the air?
I can mute myself, but it's literally just my calls just consist of me asking people questions about if they want to go to my school, basically.
Swan, the revolution will not be shut down. They're just going to have to deal with it. And finally, I believe we have Liv. Is Liv on?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, then let's go ahead. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started then, my panelists. And we're going to start off with a favorite segment of ours, and we're going to call this segment Tea Time. And during tea time,
Luna's posting in the chat.
What would I be doing?
Yeah, I just pulled it up.
All right, is Luna having issues or something?
Yes, Mama's been muted, and I don't know how to unmute her.
Everything's going wrong.
Yes.
Great. Sorry.
Well, that's why it's a test run, right? Just don't mute me. I would be mad.
And for everyone.
Oh, she's off mute. Thank you.
Muted myself.
Sweet. And everyone, I don't know how many listeners we have, but this is our first test run, so please bear with us. We're working out the kinks. Next time it'll be a flawless operation, I promise. So we're going to go ahead and get started then with our next segment, which is we like to call Tea Time. And during this segment, we're going to discuss the latest Walking Dead news, our favorite and least favorite moments of 7A, and our wish list for 7B. So I'm going to get started first with the news. So the past couple of weeks, it's been a great time. There's been a ton of promos and articles, especially if you're a fan. So with that being said, we've had promos that were shown. Kiss, the team family reunited again, and broke down whoever is taking medicine, shaking pill bottles, can we not do that by the speaker? Thank you. And Andy burned down the internet last night by announcing that he's all the way in for Rashon Baby. So, kicking that all off, I'm going to start with Kat And what did you think about all the news coming out in the past couple of weeks, getting us ready for 7B?
Wait, what was that? We can't hear you over all the noise.
Does someone have the news on, or is someone talking? Swan, you may need to
I'm gonna mute myself
yes.
because since I'm at work, it's people talking.
Mute. All right. Oh,
Oh God.
it was
The
Swan.
sound of silence is so beautiful.
Swan, failure. All
I
right.
can even hear my own thoughts. It's amazing.
So, Big Cat, once again, we're going to kick it off with talking about all the news that has come out in the past couple weeks to prepare us for 7B. There's been a lot going on. We have Rashone babies talked about. We have Team Family United. We have potential for Daryl and, I don't know, maybe something with Carol, who knows? So, want to know your thoughts on the news, starting with you.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Yeah, that Rashone baby thing, right? I think Andy gave a pretty good answer about about it being, I think it makes sense that would happen eventually, being like a whole new start or whatever. But he also mentioned after a time jump, because I definitely don't think that should be something they would be talking about right now with all the Negan stuff going on. But I could see it happening at some point. It just kind of fits the theme of the series. As for the Daryl stuff, I don't care. He can go die. That's my opinion on that news. What was the other stuff?
Oh, it's a lot of stuff, and I'm going to work the room. So another thing that we've noticed from the promos and just the articles, it seems like 7B is going to be less Negan. So, Mama, what are your thoughts on the focus more on Team Family and less on the big bad for this season?
Well, my thoughts are I think this half season is going to be a lot better than the first one. I am not a Negan fan at all. I think he sucked the soul out of the show in the first 8 episodes. Even when he wasn't there, he was there. And I am really looking forward to seeing the characters we actually care about interacting and talking and getting allies and eventually beating him. But yeah, I mean, this has been the best hiatus I've been through since becoming a fan of the show. It's been a lot of Rashone promotion, a lot of great interviews, and it's just been a lot of fun. So I'm definitely looking forward to the second half.
I totally agree with you, Mama. I will be very happy. I understand we always need an antagonist in The Walking Dead, but it turned into in 7A like Negan was the lead versus who the real leading man is Rick. So I'm glad that we're righting that wrong. I'm going to call on you, Luna. What news excited you going into the second half of the season?
Luna.
Luna's so excited she's dead.
Remember, Luna can't talk.
Oh,
Yeah, she said, I'm looking forward
She's
to more
posting in
left.
the chat.
okay. So
See, well, that's
all
the theme of the show, though. We're supposed to talk
If-
to dead people.
right.
So I
I
think
just hope the levity doesn't involve another Daryl and Rick road show. I don't stand for that.
All right. Candy, you have anything else news related you would like to also share that you're excited about coming into 7B?
I think I'm excited mostly about the characters interacting again. We didn't really see that in 7A. Everybody was scattered. And this season, people are working together. Rick is trying to be a politician. He's never been a politician before, so this will be interesting. And I kind of want to see Daryl pet Shiva, and I want to see Shiva kind of strike at him.
I would actually like to see Sheba eat. That's what I want. I want to see her learn to turn cannibalism. That's what I want.
I don't want to see that because her stomach. Like, think about her health. What if she ate that grease?
Then someone will just have to give Sheba tell.
Hey, we don't want Shiva eating tainted meat, guys.
Mama, it worked for Terminus. All right. Well, I think we've covered enough about the upcoming news, unless anyone else.
Silas said she's listening, but the sound is distorted sometimes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Silas. We hope to have you joining us next week. All right. So next, let's talk about your favorite moments from 7A. I have to tell you, I have a short list of favorites on 7A, but I'm going to go ahead and start with Mama. Mama, what were some of your favorite moments from the first half of the season?
I do have a handful. I really loved the Kingdom episode, the introduction of King Ezekiel and Shiva. It was a nice break from the horror of the premiere. So I loved that. I wish Zeke was in more, but hopefully he'll be in more episodes. And then I loved catching up with Maggie and Sasha at the Hilltop. Obviously all the Rick and Michonne scenes, but to me the high point of the whole half was Michonne's scene with Rick in the jail cell when she basically sort of did that call to arms speech, and I rewatched that like 100 times. I thought it was perfect. I thought Denai slayed it. I thought Rick looked at her like he was so head over heels in love, and then it just kind of went right into the ending. That was sort of the high point for me. But notice all of those scenes are lacking a certain guy, and I'm hoping to have more scenes lacking him going forward. But yeah, even though it was a rough first half, there were a lot of good moments though.
And Mama, I gotta agree with you. That scene was everything. The speech, the lighting, the way Rick and Michonne were looking at each other, and then the way they kissed at the end. And I know Candy said this is family friendly. I'm just gonna there was some good loving being had after that. You know, I'm team good loving in the cell. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think our Daryl death wishes already kind of canceled out the family friendly. I hope your favorite dies.
You know,
we will not get any Daryl fans to listen to this podcast.
It wasn't graphic. I'm just talking about circle of life stuff. Daryl feeding the tiger. It's circle of life. It didn't have to be graphic.
Yeah, you're the Lion King, except the Tiger King.
Exactly. You know, he needs to eat. Oh, I'm sorry, she. So, okay, with that, Mama already shared with her favorites. Candy, I'm going to call on you. What was some of your favorite scenes from the first half of the season?
I had a few. One of my favorite is the love palette.
Yes, the love palette. Rick knew he was in trouble. He made that palette of love for his queen.
Yeah, I like it because you get to take a moment. You get to see why Rick is doing what he's doing. It takes a lot of strength for him to back down, not try to take on Negan. He's trying to make it work. And a lot of people think if you punch somebody, that's a show of strength. No, I think Rick in that moment is the strongest he's ever been because it took a lot for him to accept his reality. And I like Michonne in that moment because you know that she's struggling with it, but now she's in love and she has to think about more than herself. So she has to at least try to change her way of thinking and try to get along in this new reality. And you see that when she's at the end trying to help him with the love palette. And I hope they bring that love palette back.
Well, I prefer if they had a love mattress back, but yeah, if we don't have a mattress,
well, it's mattress firms everywhere and furniture stores. Nobody's robbing them. They should go out and get a mattress.
Well, maybe the saviors are robbing them. They're like taking everything.
They need to go to the mall and hit up a Sleep Number store. And I'm sure they can get a mattress there. So
I think they should just find them all and make a go of it, like Dawn of the Dead style. Just like, forget Alexandria. Who cares? You have a whole mall.
that is true. So, Kat, why don't you tell us what was your favorite part of the first half of the season?
Well, let's see. Well, besides Michonne's speech, because that was the best, as Mama said, probably Maggie punching Gregory and then saying that she's Maggie Ree. That was awesome.
I cried. I had a tear. Maggie Ree, that was so sweet. And Gregory was deserving of that punch. It was a long time coming.
I'm surprised it took so long for her to refer to herself as Maggie Ree.
I think they were really saving it for that moment. Because, I mean, in the comics, she still goes by Green. So everyone just kind of assumed that they would both keep their last names. So I think they were saving it for that moment after he's dead for her to be like, Maggie Ree, and then everyone has an emotion. And then I'm conflicted because I really love that moment, but I hate that Glenn's dead. And I hate everyone in the show. And I want to fight them. But I don't, because it was a good moment.
I also love the moment when Sasha was sharpening what looked to be Abe's knife, smoking the cigar that I'm assuming he got him as a gift before he died. Like, we didn't see a lot of Maggie and Sasha in the first half of the season, but the little pieces that we saw kind of set up, I think, for us, like where their heads are going to be at in the second half of the season. So I hope to see more of them as well.
I like the little dynamic between Jesus, Sasha, and Maggie. I kind of wish we saw a little more of that in 7A.
I do too. I like the three of them together. And Enid. After I got over the turtle eating no girl part, I really am team Enid and looking forward to Enid and Carl getting together just without any eye socket action.
I was about to say, I will cry if she misses also.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments was when Maggie punched Greg in the face.
That was beautiful, Swan.
And then Maggie Ree, that hurt.
Yes.
Well, Swan, I see that you're sneaking and trying to talk really quickly and whispering. So is there anything else you want to ask? It seems so covert. You want to add anything else?
I mean, earlier in the bunker when we were discussing what our favorite moments of 7A were, I was just like when Glenn was still alive.
Yeah.
Just still, when Glenn was still alive.
I really hope you're not talking about when he was mumbling Maggie, because that was disgusting. He was alive for all of 30 seconds.
Literally, I wasn't talking
I think she's talking about before the punch.
Yes, I am talking about before RT.
All right, I'm sorry. That episode I probably will never watch again. It was just too traumatic. It was just awful. Like this treatment of Rick, what happened to poor Glenn and Abe, that was just, oh my God, I'm actually doing a segue into my least favorite moments of the first half. And the entire episode, episode.
Wait, Luna did post in the chat her favorite.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Luna, you're messing up my segue. But
it's too late. We're reading what Luna said.
All right, go. Somebody read Luna.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
She enjoyed Ezekiel's introduction. He really is one of the first characters since season 3 that she quickly took an interest in. Carrie did a great job portraying him, and she can't wait to see more. Plus, we need more Jerry.
Thank you, Luna, for your thoughts. Even if
all true.
Even if my segue is ruined. But now back to how much I hated the premiere episode for Rick, Glenn, and Abe, and everybody else in Team Family. It was 45 minutes of Megan monologuing. It was the worst thing ever. And I'm going to ask Mama, what was her least favorite things? I'm sure it's going to include a dirty Daryl amongst other things.
Yeah, if I could wipe episode 3 off the face of this planet, I would certainly do that. So let's just get rid of that episode really quickly. But as far as moments go, I absolutely hated Glenn's death. And not just because he died, but that's where they just went completely, and it was over the top. It was disgusting. The critics hated it, the viewers hated it. They didn't need to have that shot, with his eye and with him, as you mentioned, Armsy, the saying Maggie's name. That was way, way overkill. And I hated Negan, the pleasure he took out of it. It was disturbing, not in a titillating, nice way, but in just a wrong way. So that by far is my least favorite moment. And then, anything with Negan and Daryl, that makes my top 10 list. Although I will say the Daryl Rick hug at the end, I'll give them props for that. But other than that, anytime they were on my screen, I wasn't happy.
Mama, I will admit the Daryl and Rick hug, I was like the Grinch. My heart did grow 3 sizes. And when you kissed Daryl, God damn it, I was like, oh, Daryl, you are back. And I flashed back to season 3 when I actually liked Daryl. And then I questioned.
Yeah, and Rick does love him, and we have to appreciate the fact that Rick loves me, even if we don't.
And he did give Rip back Kevin the Python. So, I mean, that is points. That is points no matter what. All right, fine. Daryl did good there. Kat, what were some of the things that you disliked the first half of the season?
All 10 of them are Glenn dying. But also I hate everything else. But mostly Glenn dying for like 10 lines. And then I hated Daryl, even when he was hugging Rick. When he was being alive, I hated that part.
Did we read Luna's?
It just popped
Luna's
up and popped off.
All right.
Oh, Luna posted something else. I didn't see it. My I hate things isn't very interesting because I hate everything. But pretty much co-sign everything Mama said about Glenn's death being just too much on top of him just dying. Like, his death shouldn't be what they were going for, like trying to make it entertaining or something. Like, it's not entertaining to watch your heart be ripped out of your chest and beaten by a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire by a psychopath that they want you to love. I don't love that guy. I've never loved that guy. I will hate Negan forever. Okay.
Hey, Kat, plus what made Glenn's death even or worse or bad was the fact that he was neglected for most of season 6 and dumpster game. He was totally ignored, even though I'm an fan. Swan, can you mute? If you're not speaking, please mute. Thanks. I'm an Abe fan, and I know there's not a lot of us at our forum, but Abe had a lot of build-up. He actually went through an entire arc in season 6, so I could partially come to terms with his death. But Glenn was treated so badly. He was ignored. He lacked screen time. And then his death was also, it was worse than Abe's because you had that point where he was like slurring and all messed up, and it was just, I was yelling at the screen, put him out of his misery. It was just too awful to watch. So, like I said, I will never watch the premiere episode of season 7 again. Candy, something you hated, or what did you hate most from the first half of the season?
The pacing, pretty much. It was all over the place. It was on episode 5, and it was only 3 days later, and it seemed like nothing really happened. And episode 3 was, you can pretty much skip it because you have episode 7. So it was just like a lot of waste of time. And one scene in particular that I hated was that scene with Enid and the little pedophile person. And Rick and Carl are in the background. And I'm like, Rick, do something, but I know he can't do something because if he does something, then somebody else dies. Really hated that scene. I don't think it was needed. And Aaron getting beaten up wasn't needed. I guess it was just to show us how bad the Saviors are. But a lot of that Saviors Sanctuary stuff really didn't do anything to grow the story.
And I think Luna agrees with you. She just put that in the chat. Especially the first episode, we visited the sanctuary, which I believe was the 3rd episode in the season. We really didn't learn a whole lot from that visit. I actually didn't mind the next visit we took to the sanctuary where we got to see it kind of through Carl's eyes, I thought we learned a lot from that episode. And I really didn't mind Negan as much. He seemed to tone it down a bit. You kind of learn more about how it operated. And he wasn't just like a cartoon character. I mean, you kind of did start to see that he was a scary dude. Probably could have really done without episode 3.
I think 7 would have worked better as an introduction.
Yep.
If we saw Daryl come to Alexandra's safe zone and like he did in episode 4, without seeing 3, we'll be trying to figure out what did Negan do to make him so docile, because that torture was a joke. So.
And let's not forget, not only that torture, but the timeline of The Walking Dead, the pacing is slow as hell. Daryl was broken down in 2 to 3 days. 2 to 3 days, people. He was totally meek, and he was totally Negan's, I have to watch my language. We're trying to be friendly, but he was Negan's prison bleep. There was 3 days. So, yeah, I had a problem with that whole arc. So...
And he got fed probably 3 meals a day, right? Really good food for Daryl. And he got to listen to music. He got entertainment. What more could you ask for?
Oh, the worst scene in 7A was seeing Daryl naked. I can't believe it. I was trying to bleach it from my mind.
Candy, I know someone, shout out Dixon Grimes, who's not going to be happy with me right now talking about Daryl's naked body. Just be prepared. But, yeah, you would have thought he did a few little push-ups for that part. So, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our wish list for 7B. Second half of the season, I got to tell you, I'm very excited. All the promos, all the interviews, all the Rashone. Like Mama said earlier, this has been the best hiatus I have ever had. I can't stand it. I've been a constant state of euphoric. So, with that being said, I'm going to pick on my mama again. And Mama, what's your wish list for the second part of the season?
Just to clarify, we're a family-friendly show, right? So I can't talk about anything happening in episode 12 as far as, yeah, I won't go there. That's fine.
We're not family-friendly as much as we're PG-13. And a lot of 13-year-olds know a lot of things, so.
Well, we have like 2 parents here, and PG is parental guidance, so you know.
Yeah.
I have
girl mama.
As your host, I'm a little upset by this rating. Like half of my content I cannot discuss. I just wanna, this is hurting me. We have to go back and discuss this later in the breakdown of our first podcast. So go ahead, Mama.
I wanted my name to be PG friendly. The podcast does not have to be PG friendly.
I wanted XXX. Go, Mama.
Okay, so my wish list, more Rick and Michonne together as a shipper can. That's really what I want. Is I want them not only the passion and the love scenes that we crave, but just the dialogue, the glances, the handholds, all of that lovey-dovey stuff that I am just starved for. And so far, I feel pretty good about what we've been getting sneak peeks on. So I think this is going to be a very good half season for Rashone shippers. I just have a feeling. I also definitely want Rashone and Carl to interact. I feel like we don't get nearly enough of that. I don't know if that's going to happen this half season, but that's on my wish list. Rick being Rick again, rising up, being the leader. I'm intrigued with the politician idea. That's not his forte. So I'd be very interested to see how he sort of bites his tongue and shakes hands and all that. And really just team family being together and strategizing and just sharing scenes together. I want that more than anything else. And then, of course, lack of Negan on my screen, which hopefully we'll get. Yeah, so that's it.
Mama, I hope you get all your wishes because they mirror mine.
Excellent. There's
All right.
that hive mind working, that hive mind that we have.
That's right. That's why you need to join tellittothedead.com. We need other hive minds. So with that
You got it.
being said, come to the mothership. Candy, what's your wish list for the second half of the season?
I have to agree with Luna, who says she wants more personal interactions. I really need a Michonne and Judith scene. We haven't seen them together since 610. It's time for them to interact. Now that she's her official mom, we need a scene. So that's my main wish list. And I just want to see the character smile a little bit.
I agree with that, Candy. That's awesome. And I want to piggyback on your Michonne and Judith moment. We know Judith is talking. If I get Judith saying mama, I will be a pool on the floor. That will be so sweet. Even my cold, dead heart will melt.
You can't be petty for something like that.
Not for the children. You can never be petty for the children.
What if we see Judith running towards Michonne? I would die.
Oh.
Michonne crying, and you know Michonne is thinking about Audrey, Mama, kill me dead. That would be
tearing up.
sweet. I'm done. I'm done for.
It's too cute. I'm gonna die.
What's on your wish list, Auntie?
Oh, what's on my wish list? Well, first thing on my wish list is that episode 712 is actually going to be aired on HBO instead. And everyone's naked, but this is PG, so a lot of love. I also want Rashone, I love yous. I want an Andre mention, at least Rick and Michonne talking about Andre. And I just want everyone to realize that Rick and Michonne are the king and queen of the apocalypse.
That's right.
Yes, I want some more badass Michonne.
But I'm going to try to be a good host and incorporate other characters in this. So I'd also like to see some more focus on Maggie, Sasha, and Hilltop. I feel like what happened to Maggie and Sasha in the first half of the season is awful. They lost the most in the premiere episode, and we barely saw them at all. So I'd really like to see more of them in their story. And I'd also like to see Negan smacked around a couple of times. Please, someone.
Yeah.
In the finale, hopefully.
I'm interested in seeing what Eugene does at the sanctuary. It looks like he's having a good time, according to the promo. And I want to see more of Jesus. We don't see too much of Jesus or Morgan this season. So.
This is true. This is true. All right. Does anyone have? Let me check on my girl Luna, who is only with us through chat. So she agrees with the personal, genuine interactions, less speeches. I'm gonna assume that's less Negan speeches. And she will die. I'm assuming she's going to die if Judith and Michonne have a sweet moment. And, we all are going to die. So, even though there's already been a lot of complaining that has gone on in this podcast, we actually have a segment for complaining that I like to call Tea Time, but Petty Time. And during this time, we're going to expand and talk about a gripe that we have with The Walking Dead. It doesn't even have to be related to season 7. It can be something petty that you will hold on to for a long time. Like, for example, me, I will hate Jesse to my dying day. With that being said, what is a gripe that you will carry on for all of eternity, Mama?
Oh. Sorry, I was on mute. I was just asking, do I have an hour or am I limited to just a couple minutes? No, I kid. I would say, other than Negan and Daryl, who are two characters I don't really like, one of my main gripes, and I am a huge fan of the show, and you guys know I try to be positive and keep positive. But I'll tell you, they don't make it easy for us to understand what they're trying to portray, or the dialogue, the story arcs. Sometimes they're confusing, convoluted, unclear. The general audience thinks that Jesse was the love of Rick's life, and it was never really, that whole arc was done so oddly that it just, from a writing perspective, I really have a gripe with that. The audience shouldn't have to go to a fan forum or to listen to the Talking Dead to understand what happened on that episode. It should be clear. That's good storytelling. And I think that they're really lacking that with some of these arcs. I don't know if they're trying to be artistic or, super creative, but give me a break. I mean, they have millions of viewers, most of whom are not going to do a deep dive like we do. So I just wish that they were a little bit more clear in what they were trying to convey, the dialogue, the story arc. Just make it easy for the general audience to understand, basically. That's my main gripe, and Megan and Daryl. I would like to put a plug in for them.
And Mama, I will say that I think part of their problem, and one of my gripes, is how they have chosen to tell the story. For the past, 2 or 3 seasons, stories, Team Family, they're in silos now. They're grouped off, rarely together. We focus on one story for a bit, then we move on. Story pieces get dropped. The narrative isn't cohesive at all because the characters aren't cohesive. And I really miss, like, when you go back and you look at a season 3 where all the players were always together. It's very different. And we started going down that path the second half of season 4 when the prison blew up and everyone got scattered. But I don't appreciate that, and I miss the dynamic when everyone is together. And when you read interviews, the actual cast misses that as well. I really hope the second half of the season gets back to that. I know we're kind of still spread out where some people are at Hilltop, others are at the Kingdom, but I really want to see everyone working together. So I'm going to move it on to Candy. What is your thing that you hold on to that bothers you about The Walking Dead?
Well, my biggest thing is pacing and a lot of wasted potential. They focus on the wrong things, and I really wish they would stop avoiding emotional payoffs. Like, Daryl got Maggie's husband killed, but we don't see Maggie and Daryl meeting right after that. They just go out of their way, it seems, to avoid any internal conflict within within Team Family. And I think that needs to change. It's kind of unrealistic at this point. And I do agree about the split off and the bottle episodes. They should just put everybody together in one place and see how it works. Everybody at Alexandria. They can tell different stories with everybody being in Alexandria. We really didn't get that. When they first came to Alexandria, Michonne just disappeared. Her sword art was a bit disappointment. She didn't really talk to anyone about it. She talked to Abe, but she did not talk to Carl or Rick about it. And I'm really disappointed that they did that. So that's pretty much my big gripe.
Oh, and she didn't really talk to Abe. Abe talked to her, and then she just stared off into space and oh yeah, these words that Abe is saying, this is about Michonne. Deeply. It was but she never articulates her own feelings about it to anyone. Just other people talk at her, oh, this is really important. Actually, other people is Abe and Rosita, and neither of whom she knew until they randomly talked to her about her sword, and then she doesn't have anything to say to them. She doesn't know them really, except for Gimple decided they're gonna know each other now, which she does a lot. Just have characters suddenly be really important to each other, like Maggie and Tara. Oh, you are the most important, one of the most important people in my life right now.
Okay, I hated that because actually her and Sasha had formed a very close relationship from season 4, which they just now remembered the first half of this season. Don't get me started on Tara's bottle episode. Kat, anything else that makes you petty and you will hold on to your dying day?
Besides Daryl's entire existence, which we don't have to get into because that'll become a whole 5 episodes by itself. Yeah, the dialogue thing, where it seems a lot of time people aren't really having natural dialogue. They're just like taking Gimple's philosophizing and putting it into words. Sometimes, like in small doses, if it makes sense in context, I kind of like it. Like some of the things Herschel says, because he's supposed to be like the sagely dude in season 4, it kind of makes sense that he'd have these like big philosophizing sounding things that he's saying. But a lot of the time, other characters are just saying these things, and then there's a beat, and you're like, no, oh yeah, this is like Gimple philosophizing to us, and this word, this sentence has some deeper meaning. And that's fine enough, but it shouldn't be at the cost of dialogue that sounds like things that people would say. Like, oh, because Glenn said nothing in this world is left that isn't hidden, and now that's going to go through and be Tara's whole thing. Nothing in this world, there's nothing in this world that isn't hidden, and it's this deep, meaningful thing. Like, can they just have a conversation like normal people? Like, in the earlier seasons, you could be watching a conversation, and it was just people having a conversation, and you didn't have to pull out little strings of dialogue. Like, oh, this is the deep, meaningful thing. I wonder how this is going to come out again.
I do
talking.
The early seasons, the character development, that was so different. The actual one-on-one, you actually were able to dive into people's motives and why they were doing things. You didn't have to guess or watch Talking Dead later to find out why A did B. So I totally agree with you on that, Kat. And Luna, who once again in chat, her thing that I think bothers her is fandom wank. But she's like, fandom wank, and that's all I'm going to say. So I'm actually going to elaborate just a little for Luna. If anyone's on the interwebs, you will be able to tell that there's been fandom wars since the end of time. And if anyone remembers back when Beth was still alive, I guess some people would say Beth is still alive. But anyway, when she was alive, there was all kinds of fandom wars. And it seems to be that some people are a little bit jealous because now Roshone is the couple of The Walking Dead. But hey, Rick is the leader. Roshone is his queen. Get used to it. That is the New World Order. And I'm not going to go into petty today because we're already 46 minutes into our show, and I could write a complete dissertation on Jesse alone. So with that being said, I'm going to check on my esteemed panel. Did anyone want to add anything before I wrap this up?
It will be better next time.
I just want to add that I'm very, very excited for this next 8. I'm as excited as I've ever been for this show. So,
and I will agree, Mama. I'm very excited. I hope the 8 or 9 people that listen to our little podcast know that even though we may come off as a little bitter, we actually love this show, and our bitterness is out of love. And I've never been so excited for a season as I am for the second half of this season. Kat, Candy, anything else?
I'm excited for how many cats are going to be in the second half of the season. There's going to be enough cats that you can say there are cats, plural, and that excites me.
As long as you're excited, Kat.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for tonight's episode. I kind of want to see Rick and Michonne work as a team. They haven't did it in a while, so.
Yeah. Yes, Candy, they haven't did it in a while.
Way too long.
Family friendly.
I don't know who this family is. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up, and I want to first of all thank again Candy for the creation of this weekly podcast. She put all of this together, and if any of you know us, it was like herding cats. So thank you, Candy. And I also want you to know this was pretty ugly, I will admit, but this was our first podcast. We're going to work out
trial podcast.
Yes, we're going to work out the kinks. We're going to get this streamlined and all pretty, and it's going to be the best. And if you want to participate, if you want to actually participate in fun discussions, banter you just witnessed on this podcast, please join me and the panelists over at tellittothedead.com, a very fun and interactive fan forum that was started by Dr. Grimes, a lovely person who sheltered us in the storm when we were kicked out.
And also can't listen to this podcast for technical reasons.
And that is funny in itself because Doc is a tech guru, so the not even listen to this podcast is just the most glorious thing ever. User error, Doc. All I have to say, user error. And we have all sides of The Walking Dead covered with numerous topical threads. It's a shipping haven. We love to ship, and in particular, we love to ship Roshone. We love to make up Roshone babies and names, or maybe not have baby names.
And don't talk about babies.
And it's a safe space, like I said, for shippers. I'm not sharing secrets, like I said, when I tell you that we all are shipper trash. So thank you for joining us today, my 8 or 9 little listeners. Bless you for the love, and it will be awesome the next time. Thank you.
Hopefully we have at least 8.
We're going for double digits next week.
Check the numbers, Candy.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye, everyone.
Bye.